Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Grumpy Vlogger Live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another fun-filled week of Grumpy Vlogger Live. Yeah. Oh, man, it's been, I'll talk about my internet woes here in a little bit, but let's go ahead and bring on everybody's favorite munchkin, none other than Carlson.
Thank you.
Somebody said something to me yesterday that I could use for an introduction, and I can't remember. I wish I could remember what it was. One of my buddies that I was talking to on the phone yesterday or day before to introduce you, and it really was perfect. And it was not an insult, but it was a nice introduction. But I forgot it. I should have written it down, you know. So, my mind's like that. But I can't call him and ask him what it was because the chances are he forgot too. Because
did you record it?
No, I wish I would have. One of those. It'll pop in my mind sometime in the middle of the week when I won't need it. I'll write it down if it does. So, anyways, let's bring in none other than the Thunder from Down Under, Mr. Dominic, Northside Hawk.
Good evening, all. Thanks for your applause.
So, how's your internet today, Dominic?
Seemingly working. I had a few issues yesterday.
Yeah, I noticed. Was it on Uncle Bill's show last night? Yeah, Uncle Bill's, yeah.
Yeah, first few minutes of Uncle Bill's, my computer kept going all over the place. So seemed to fit after that. So that's
okay, let's go ahead and bring in our next panel member, none other than the man who is in charge, Charles. Hey, Charles.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Art, Floyd, Dominic.
Mark, someone says I could always start with somewhere over the rainbow. Yeah. From somewhere over the rainbow, none other than Art Carlson. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least you didn't say over the Rainbow Bridge.
That's true. Yeah, that would not be good. So, yeah. No. But anyways, yeah, it's I was going to tell everybody my internet yesterday Charles, locked up a little bit when we was on the show yesterday. And after I got off, I went back there and was watching TV, and for the rest of the night, about every 30 minutes, it would just freeze up. It would stop whatever we were watching, and the wheel would start spinning, and nothing would happen, and then it completely reset itself, and I'd have to start everything over. It's like, and I fought with that all evening. That's why Uncle Bill sent me a link. There's no way I was getting on his show last night because I was locking up about anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. So I called the internet company today to make sure that things were going to be good for tonight's show. There's no guarantee. Yeah. But when I call, you get this automated thing. They said, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to reset your system from this size. Okay. So they send a signal through, blah, blah, blah. And then they said, go on, get by your, my stuff had already set up, because we see that it just reset within the last hour, but we're going to reset the signal from here. Okay. And then I get hold of somebody and said, well, we can't tell you if you have an outage in your area. Our software isn't working. We're not able to diagnose anything from here. It's like,
wow.
This was the friggin' internet company.
Internet problems going around everywhere.
Yeah.
My brother just rang me and said his internet's back on after 24 hours. So everybody's having problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Captain Joe America said the same. His internet was on and off Saturday night and Sunday midday. Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know
what? It could be a CME.
CME.
That's what I'm thinking.
From solar flares.
That would be coronal mass ejection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Exactly.
And that's kind of because. Well, I saw somebody else was on Facebook was griping about they're using Xfinity as their carrier, and there's you do too? Yeah. We're with Optima. They used to be Suddenlink, but they used to be Suddenlink / Xfinity, and then they switched from Xfinity to Optima. So, or whatever, and they still suck. Yeah,
not very optimal.
They are not. No. Yeah. X-Wing says his Yeah, I suspect it's the sun is causing us problems right now, and but yeah. So let's go ahead and say hello to everybody in the chat.
Yes, let's do that.
Let me start at the top here, and we'll go right. So we got Jody, Drone Shots, and then we have Jaybird, and we have Joey, yes, and we have USA Drone Flyer Captain Joe America. That'd be Joe. We have AZ Drone Dude.
That'd be David.
David, yes. I don't have my list brought up. My memory, I can't even remember what I said yesterday. So, anyways, let's see, Northside Hawk. Brad, Catskills Brad is there.
Brad. That'd be Brad. Yep.
We got Rod, Hot Rod in Daytona. Let's see, who else we got there? Paul Murray. Hey, welcome.
Paul Murray. Paul. He's over on my channel.
Yeah, he's over on your channel. All right.
Yep.
And let's see, who else we got here?
We got Unlimited Vertigo.
Unlimited Vertigo. Okay, we got Cool Cat. We got Charles. We got
that'd be Michael.
Yeah.
Who would be Michael? I just said Charles. How could Charles be Michael?
No,
he
must be saying
Cool Cat.
Michael.
Cool Cat.
Oh, Cool Cat.
Michael.
Okay. Yeah, I was going. Don't confuse me. I was confused there for a second. What do you mean? Charles is Charles. Bent Rail Productions. He's watching on one of y'all's channel. Mark Sullivan and
Chris Hope.
Chris Hope. Okay. The X-Wing. Yes, we've got him on here, and
we got
who else?
Miu Drone 4K, all the way from Mexico.
Johnny Drone Flyer. Hello,
Johnny Drone Flyer. Yep.
Okay, we got Grant, Mr. Stay Drunk.
Grant, Mr. Stay Drunk. Yep.
That'd be Grant.
Drone Flyer. Yep. That'd be Grant. Yeah. And by the way, Grant, I said couldn't remember what it was it was Paul I was talking to yesterday. Grant, so he's alive and well. He's actually going. He's one of our buddies from when we were doing flight simming back in the mid '90s, and and he or mid to late '90s is when we started. And he said him and his wife are going to South Carolina, and then on their way back, they're going down to New Mexico, so they're going to cut through Muskogee and stop and visit us for a couple of days. So, so.
We got Mike B, a.k.a. the Drone Ranger.
Drone Ranger.
Hi, Mike.
That would be Mike,
Jack, Lake Pilot.
Lake Pilot, yes, okay. All right. So, we got a good crowd here. What's this? 29 watching. That's not bad. That's this early in the evening already. That's a good start, yeah. So, anyways, but, yeah. And, of course, you guys saw I'm sure some of you have watched my video of Mike Wright and I flying last week. That was fun. It was hotter than hell. It was 104 out there, and it was. Judy is doing pretty good today. She did pretty good yesterday. She was awake quite a bit, and she doing a little better. Matter of fact, when I came in here, got everything set up, and then I was getting ready to start the timer. Or I was going back to check on her one last time before I started the timer. And she was walking up the hallway. What are you doing? And and I just looked at the monitor and saw that she was still there. And then I turned around, get up and meet her in the hallway. It's like, okay, go beat on the wall or something. Let me know you need help, But
we got Steve Carpenter.
Oh, Steve Carpenter, welcome. And East Coast Thrills is on here
East Coast Thrills, Justin, Droner Gaming, RP, Mark R. White, and we got Rude Dog, FPV.
Okay, excellent. So
is
we got a
he
good
blue?
crowd. I don't know. Is he on yours or is he on mine?
See him
on yours? Whose channel is he on?
He must.
He's on yours, Lloyd.
Must be it. No.
Who is it?
Yep. He is grey.
And he's on mine?
Yes. You've got to scroll far up though.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. I see it now. I see it.
Yes.
Okay. Took me a while.
Yeah, go make him blue. Make him a Smurf.
Smurf him.
There we go.
Yep.
But I like this second monitor I'm using now. I have an Alienware gaming monitor. It's like 240 megahertz refresh rate.
Oh, great.
And it is, it's a beautiful monitor, but it's a 24-inch wide or whatever. It's the wide format, but I've always had a second monitor, and it's just a regular, LCD monitor. Well, it went out here about, I don't know, last year sometime. And so I've been using a little 19-inch television, which is best it goes is 720. So it's always been, I just use it for minor stuff. But I had a 27-inch Dell 27-inch all-in-one computer. And I got to thinking, I can't, I did get to thinking. Yeah, imagine that. But one of the things I was wondering, could I use it as a monitor, without having to boot? Because it's running Windows 10, and even that is kind of hinky. So it's just like, I've been watching too much CSI. I'm using the word hinky again. I haven't used that. or not CSI, NCIS. Anyways. But, it doesn't run well, just because it started out, I think it was Windows 7, and it's been patched with Windows 8.1, and then they put Windows 10 on it, and and we just quit using it. So when it was in my spare bedroom, or our main bedroom that we're moving back to, and it was sitting on the bed, and I thought, I wonder if I can use this as a monitor. And sure enough, there is a setting on it that you can button you can push on the side to go to any sort of components, and it has an HDMI in, so
got Dr. One.
Oh, Dr. One,
Andrew.
yeah.
And we got
Tim Jackson.
B-Rad. Brad is here.
Yeah, Tim Jackson is on here. Hello, Tim.
And Tim.
But anyways,
he's one of the lesser known Jacksons.
Yeah, and like Andrew or Michael or
Jermaine, Janet, Latoya, Tito.
Yeah.
Enchanter.
Yeah. I think I think it's Janet. I was never really sure, especially in the later years, whether there was really Janet and Michael or if they were one and the same. They just changed their clothes. Because you look at them, they looked a lot alike. There was a time period like,
I think they shared the same doctor.
Yeah. But anyway, so yes, if you have one that has HDMI in, if you have an old PC that all-in-one PC, if as long as it has HDMI in, you can use it, and that's cool. What I'm now. I got this nice 27-inch, and
if I could pick up one cheap.
You can, that's another thing. Just make sure they have an HDMI in, and then you can use them. They usually have a button on the side that is for inputs. So, that's what this did. I just changed the input on it.
Cool.
Yeah, and you could use it as a TV as well. Yeah, you could use it for a TV. And I've been going to buy a new monitor, but I just kept putting it off, and I thought I was just being cheap, and finally I kept thinking in the back of my head, well, maybe I could use that. I don't know. Finally I looked it up, and they were, it was all over the internet. Yeah, you can use it for that. Especially the Dell one was, I think HP's all-in-one also can be used as a monitor.
Right.
So it's not a total waste of space. I don't have to throw out a good PC or a good monitor. Anyway, so that's what I'm using over here now. Instead of having my chat up here, I have it over here, and it's kind of elevated.
Right.
And so I'm sort of looking up to it, but it gives me a lot more space. And anyways, so Art, what have you been doing?
Just working. Went fishing yesterday. Caught a nice little carp. Lost 2 really big carp. Probably would have been master angler size. anything over 30 inches is a master angler. And all you need to do is get a picture and give all the information, send it off to Colorado Parks and Wildlife, and they send you a certificate and a patch.
Mm-hmm. Sounds great.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah.
I think you probably have to master your hook technique and become a master baiter.
Yes.
You can become a master angler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But one of them, the line broke, and you can't blame me because I didn't tie that line on. It was my friend that tied on his rig on there, and it broke right off.
Oh man. Yeah.
So next time I'll be ready to go.
Jody said I guess he found a Dell 27 on Core i3, 16 gigabytes of RAM. Said he found it on the road. Wow, that's what I'm using is the Dell 27. 27. It's the Inspiron 1. That's what it's called. Inspiron 1.
Well, I've got a 26-inch Westinghouse right over here that's sitting there not doing anything, but it doesn't have HDMI. It's the old one with the VGA out. Yeah.
Wow.
We got Lon Denard.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yep.
Yeah, he says Jody said he found it. Yeah. I mean, that's it was a good computer up until, well, I take it back. It wasn't a good computer. We had nothing but problems. They basically replaced it. They sent it because I carried the best coverage, policy coverage they had. So they'd send a guy to our house. The guy was here so often that he started asking, what do you got? He'd call and say, what are you guys having for supper tonight? I'll be down there. And so, it's like, because we had the same tech come down every week, and finally got it figured out. It was not connecting to the to our Wi-Fi system properly, and he finally got it figured out. But they had to replace all sorts of things, and it, it's just, I got tired of it, and then we went to our laptops, and from there, I went to this desktop, and Judy's got I got Judy a new laptop about 2 years ago. Oh, yeah, about 2 years ago.
There's the fish I caught.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, about 20, 21 inches.
Right.
Not bad.
Right. Mm-hmm. Not bad at all. Okay. See,
and we got Barkley in the chat. And Jim Stroney.
Yep.
Oh, welcome, guys.
Jim Stroney, who's not droning.
Oh, yeah, but let's see, what else do I want to talk about tonight? We did politics on your show yesterday.
Oh, the Broncos had a great game.
Did they? I saw. Did they had paratroopers, skydivers coming into their opening shows yesterday, because one of the guys I went to school with was up there, and he had it and put it up on Facebook. So, and
they beat the Rams 41-0.
Oh wow, that was a good game then. Either that or the Rams are just doing really bad.
Well, it was preseason, the last one before the regular season. Yep.
Okay, the last preseason one. Let's see.
Yep. That's right, Joey. Preseason doesn't count. Nope.
Yeah, preseason doesn't count. Yeah, because I mean, how many times have you seen some of these teams that just really fired up in preseason? As soon as the regular season starts, it just goes to hell.
Yeah. Well, or they get hurt in preseason.
Preseason, yeah. And which Broncos? That seems to be their modus operandi.
Well, they got a new coach, and hopefully, he can turn
their
in.
Coach?
Oh God! Now I can't. He's the former coach of the Saints.
Oh, St. Louis.
Broncos.
Gaper says, just wait until regular season. Oh, Sean Payton.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sean Payton.
Yeah. Everybody started putting it up there. I knew I knew there's somebody. I don't watch football, so, and I really haven't watched it over the last few years because of all the silliness that goes on there. You go to watch a football game or any sports, you want to root for your team, you want to do that kind of stuff, but you don't want to, leave politics for Sunday afternoon dinners, not football.
You don't want some purple-headed broad playing on a soccer team just bashing her country and then misses the penalty kick that would have won.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
That was, is sad as it was.
You know what? I found out that she did an ad for Subway. I thought that's kind of stupid because she wouldn't want to have a foot long in her mouth.
Oh, God.
Crickets.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that'd be in 3 seconds. 10 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to watch crazy president bashing, watch Sky News Australia. Sky News Australia can be interesting to their point of view. Yeah.
Sky News Australia is the only good news program in Australia. All the rest of them are very biased. Yeah, as I said, politics and sport should never go together.
Yeah. They shouldn't. They should
come out of each other.
Well, and speaking, and you mentioned Subway. They've sold out. They've been bought out by another company now. So they finally.
Holy crap!
Yeah. I think the family that started Subway, they just sold out. I just was in business news this week on Fox News Business.
Well, one of their former spokesperson lives here in Englewood, Colorado. He's over here at the Supermax prison.
I was going to say, was that where the prison's at? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jared is at. Wasn't that his name, Jared?
Jared. Yep.
Yeah.
She got it at Jared.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how he lost all that weight.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't the footlongs.
No. Lon says his computer is a 2018 model, ancient by computer standards. i7 dual GTX 1080 GPUs, Samsung 2T SSD, 64 gigs of RAM, 21-inch. 2T hard drive.
2 terabyte hard drive.
Yeah, 1200 watt power supply, liquid cooling. Yeah, well, but that's the thing, just because it was built in 2018 doesn't mean you can add some newer parts to it. That's the good thing about a lot of the PCs. It's what was really bad is it seemed like every time they came out with something new, they completely redid the motherboard. So you couldn't put the new stuff on your current motherboard. You had to go buy the new motherboard to put all that stuff on. It's like, that was frustrating. That was frustrating. I can't even remember. Mine's got the. I can't even remember what mine's got now. It's been so long.
The Pentium 66?
No, it has the. All right, you guys are gonna make me look it up, aren't you?
Oh boy, would that be the Ryzen 1700X?
I got the Ryzen 7, the Ryzen 7 2700. Yeah, that's what I've got in it. Yeah, that's my.
Yeah, that's right.
Into the i9, yeah.
Oh God,
Amsterdam and Hewlett Packard were the worst of not being upgradable. Yes, they were. Yeah.
Yeah, that was called proprietary.
Mine's a Ryzen 7. It's not 486. Okay, it's not. Although I may still have one of those around somewhere.
Oh, I've got an old dual core Pentium that my brother-in-law had that I set up for him in 2010.
Yeah, well, I know out there in my barn, I probably got at least one that's, I still may have one. I still may have my old Gateway computer out there. And it was before they came out with it was before it reached, 1 gigabyte in speed. It was like a 986,
and
processor.
I found an old AMD PC that was in the trash, and it had the old AMD 64. Remember those? Yep. And it had the little cartridge memory cartridge you could plug into, and the darn thing still works. It had a 400 gig hard drive, which I, took out and used for something else, and I put Linux on it, and it just blazes.
Oh,
really?
Great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. The AMD 64. The problem I saw with that, because I had one, it overheated real bad, and that it almost destroyed AMD. Because they couldn't get. I mean, you had to have all sorts of fans running on it in order to keep it from overheating, and that was the last AMD I used for a long time until I went with this Ryzen 7 that I'm using right now.
I upgraded it to an AMD A10, which used to be in this PC many moons ago, and it runs great. Yep.
Yeah, Andrew, that was you're right. That was a big oops for them. It about destroyed AMD on that AMD 64. It was in a lot of ways the processor was ahead of itself, but the problem was they crammed so much in there in that little tiny chip that 11th generation Intel Core i7 1100 250 gigahertz 250 gigahertz installed RAM 2.5 RAM 16 15.9
RTX
gigabyte
3060 12 gig video card. Wow.
Yeah, I think my video card is 8 gigs, and because I'm gonna have to look it up now. I've got the paperwork on it, or it's on my system. I used to know all that, but it's running, and I only use it for this now, or to send something to my my 3D printer. And I'm actually, when I get the bedroom rearranged back the way I want it, get it all straightened out, and get us moved in there, I'm actually going to have one wall that's going to have my 3D printer, my my iron-on stuff, emulsion printer, and all that stuff, all on one table across there, so I can just go sit down there and do it. I'll have a laptop dedicated to doing just that. So,
I remember that.
Portable Commodore that was built, screen attached. Oh yeah, I remember those. I do remember those. Yeah. Yeah. I forgot Commodore, because that when I went from the TRS-80, I went to the Commodore 64.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
And I loved that 64. I mean, it seemed like you could do so much with it back then, But yeah, I started out with a TRS a Trash 80, and Glenn was saying he'd always wanted a 3D print. I'm using it like I said. That's what I used to make these with. That's
right.
And I mean, it does a pretty good job. It's real tight lines, but I'm using it to build parts for my ventriloquist dummy. I'm doing stuff for Judy. What the hell is she doing? Yep. I may have to run here a minute. I thought she was laying down. She's fighting with the dogs on the bed, I guess. But Yeah, the thing is, when I had an Ender 3 knockoff, one of those Chinese specials that they have for $220 on eBay, and I could never get it to run right and print anything halfway decent, and I just got frustrated with it and gave up on it. And when I decided to go with it, and that's why I went with the Anchormate, and I have not regretted it because you pay more. Even the Anchormate M5C, which is, I think the C stands for cheap because it's about $300 cheaper. It doesn't have a few of the features on it, but as far as the software that runs it, and as far as its printing ability, it's just as good as mine. It's just a few of the features that make mine, like an AI camera or a camera that sits there and you can monitor it and stuff. That's $300 right there putting that camera.
Coast Drone.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, Bill.
And Joe Photo Leo.
Bill said he was having Bill, did you say you were having like an open, a panel type discussion this next week? What he said, I think. By the way, if you guys really want to hear about drones and learn about drones, make sure you check with Drone Nation, which comes on at 8:00. Yeah, I know I'm stammering today.
Top of the hour.
Yeah, the top of the hour, folks.
Yep.
And
it'd be 30 minutes.
I told Rod I got a nap in, but I really kind of fibbed. I tried to get a nap in today. I woke up early, and my son's mother-in-law called. She's 87, 88 years old. Still driving, but she's to that point she knows she really shouldn't. And she's been having car problems. And she's just, she really shouldn't be driving, in my opinion, And she's knowing that, so she was calling. And, of course, my daughter-in-law and her get along about, like, oil and water. And so she either has to do stuff on her own, and so she didn't know how to find a cab here in town because she uses a phone book. She doesn't use the internet, doesn't know how, doesn't understand it.
Yeah, no Uber for her.
No Uber for her, and she was trying to find. I told her to call the.
But not everybody deserves happiness.
Yeah, I told her to call the Muskogee Transit Authority, and they'd be able to help her out because she has some doctor's appointment too. Now she can drive. She said she'll drive up to the local store, which is only 2 blocks away. And
you got Mike, Tet's Arc drone guy.
Oh, hello, Mike. He was Mike is a nice guy. He's just one of the nicest people you can meet, and I really had a blast last week flying with him. And and we had barbecue. I was a little disappointed in Malon's this time though, because it's like their sliced brisket was just a little on the tough side this time, and usually it's. So we must have got. It was after lunch and before dinner, so we must have got the scrag end of the roast or of the brisket. So, yeah, Mike. It's and it forced me to what I didn't tell you is I carry everything in this backpack, which I've showed on here before. And I had opened it up to make sure, put my batteries and stuff back in after I charged them and stuff. And so I put it in the back of the back seat of his truck, which he's got a real nice truck. And I put it in there. So apparently I didn't zip the bag. So I grabbed the bag, sling it over my shoulder, and there goes my goggles flying out of it. And they bounced a couple of times, like, oh, and so
they still work.
Oh, they still work. Yeah.
Good.
And I didn't drop them once. I think I dropped them 3 times before I thought, well, they're going to find out if they work. But yeah, that.
You know what's really good, Lloyd? Those bags that Crown Royal goes in.
Right.
That's what I carry. My goggles, the batteries. And sometimes I'll put the motion controller in there.
Right.
So everything's all together in one place.
Well, the way I have it set up, I have it all in one place. So it would have been good as if I'd actually zipped the damn bag up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, doesn't do any good when it's not.
I always do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And with the potato, it came with a case, so I just put everything in there. Yep, the goggles and all that neat stuff.
Yeah. Well, and Mike's got he's got his pickup bed is set up, and he's got the, it's a new one,
congratulations, Mike.
March 9th. All right, yeah. I think this is going to. I think this is his first one. He told me he was going to be a grandpa, and this is going to be his first grandchild. And the first one to me is always the funnest, because you get to spoil them, and after you get, 3 or 4, 5, 6 of them, it's like, okay, I'll babysit, I guess, because at first it's all exciting, and then pretty soon it's like, what? Again? You guys got? No, I don't want to babysit again. I mean, we used to have it with the 5 that Judy and I have, the 5 grandkids. We had them. There was the older set and then the younger set. The younger set, there's only 2 of them, and they're brothers. But in the older set, there were 5 of them, and they were within 3.5 years. We had 5 grandkids in 3 years, so 3.5 years. So they were all packed close together. So what we'd do is we'll say, all right, bring the kids over. We'll keep them Friday night. You come pick them up Saturday or Sunday. We'd keep them for the weekend. We'll keep them Friday and bring them over Friday night. We'll keep them overnight and have them all day Saturday. Keep them Saturday night. Sunday, you come get your friggin' kids. And we'll do that this weekend. And we do that, maybe once a month and maybe twice a month, but, and at that time, Judy used to stay up real late and I went to bed early. Now it's the other way around. So she'd stay up with them and I'd go to bed. Then I'd get up with them first thing on Saturday morning and, a couple of, sit down and turn on Saturday morning cartoons still existed back then. So I'd turn on the big console 27-inch TV and, set them on the floor and I'd go fix them I'd fix them either French toast or pancakes, or I'd fix them, bowl of cereal, whatever, depending on how energetic it was. And we got it all over with. We did that maybe at least once a month, that way we, all right, you take them home. We've had them now, get them all over at once. Don't want to see the kids until whenever,
Christmas or birthdays.
Yeah. Because we always had a party for them on their birthdays. So we, but then it was like, probably about 9 years later before we had the next 2 sets. And Patrick, our youngest son, had his first one. And then 7 years after that, he had the second one. So we kind of got them spaced out. But we actually have grandkids running from 35 or almost 35 down to, I think I've got a 3-year-old. I think he's 3. Just started, just started preschool. Wow. And like I was telling Mike, I got 22, 23, 24. I just, I can't keep up. Too friggin' many, so. Bill's Discord last night. I tried Uncle Bill's Boys. Couldn't discover it.
I'll see if I can find it.
Oh, okay. Oh, did he, was he trying to get...
Yeah, we were talking about Discord last night.
Oh, okay. Does Uncle Bill have a Discord?
I could never get it to work.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of it. I have a Discord server, but I also have a TeamSpeak server too. That's how Grant and I talk. As he gets on he monitors our TeamSpeak for us, and I know I can always just log into it, and he's going to be there, or he'll be there shortly, or I'll send him a message usually if I'm find out that we've had a TeamSpeak or one of those game server voice IP servers for probably close to 25 years now, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah. And, I think we only have 15 on this one is all we have. Okay. The more you have, the more you pay. And, we pay matter of fact, I just renewed it, but Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Discord, Bill.
Yeah, I can't understand it.
God, it seems like I get a slew of people start sending messages back and forth. I'm getting notifications all the time, picking up okay, and it's like, because I think Rhoda Riot, or not Rhoda Riot, Joshua Bardwell has a Discord server, and you don't want to turn on notifications for his, because otherwise you'll be getting a ping every 3 milliseconds, ding, 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 because people are always sending questions into him, and it's like, yeah, so. But yeah, I don't use my Discord. I mean, there is a Grumpy Vlogger Discord server, but I don't use it. And it's okay, but I'm not a fan of Discord. Never have been. So I used to use a thing called ICU.
Oh yeah.
Letter I, letter C, letter U. Yeah. If you were a gamer at any one time in the 90s, you probably used ICU or what we used ICU to send files, and we used
was it ICU or ICQ?
ICQ, yeah, ICQ, yeah. I said ICU. You're right. Hey, the Q and the U are right next to each other. What do I know?
Yeah.
No.
Well, not on the keyboard.
Yeah.
That reminds me. Yeah, they're way the hell over on the. But
yeah, they're nowhere near each other.
It's on the top row, though.
Yeah. Well, you always have to have a U behind the Q, unless you're spelling it Chinese like Qin Dynasty, and that's QIN, which I guess that makes, but yeah. But yeah, I just what did we use? We used ICQ to send files, but what did we use for? Oh, Roger Wilco is what we used for our voice server, because it was free. And
who remembers BitTorrent?
Yay!
And Napster.
Yeah.
And Napster. Yeah, I remember Napster.
I remember them because I used them.
I used both. I used both. And yes, I downloaded movies. I downloaded, files. Mainly we used it I used it for files, but BitTorrent I hated using, because every time I did, I got a virus. I don't care what. Somebody say, here's a clean download, and it's like, I go to it, and nope. I'd get CompuServe. There you go.
CompuServe. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. And AOL. Let's not forget them.
AOL. Earthlink.
Earthlink, yes.
I had an Earthlink account. Email account.
Yeah, you downloaded torrents from BitTorrent. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And occasionally there's some people that still send them in a torrent file, and it's just a pain in the ass to unzip. So. Yeah, download audiobooks from torrent. Yeah. But those are the early days of the internet, when it was really blossoming and stuff was really and it was fun back then, because
who remembers bulletin boards?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was way back. That was
the very
80s.
Beginning. Yeah,
that
early.
Was in the 80s,
yeah. That was really the beginning. Got new names before the start. That was it. One of the guys that flew Flight Simulator with us, Grant, one of his mates down there, knew somebody who worked, and they would get, like, they got Microsoft Flight Simulator. I don't know. It might have been 2000 or 2002. I can't remember which one it was. And they got it and downloaded it, and then sent me a DVD, a burned DVD of it, and I downloaded it. And Grant and Lee and I were flying the new version, and one of the guys that had helped, he and I founded that together, he was still flying the old version. We were talking about this, and he said, wait a minute, that doesn't come out until next week, does it? I said, well, yeah, yeah, you're right, yeah. And he busted. We were flying the next version out, a week before it was even due to come out, and it's like, oh, how'd you
Who
get
remembers
that?
DOS?
I do.
Dr. DOS.
Yep. As a matter of fact, I took a course on Apple DOS. I went to I learned from Apple had a store system set up here that you could go in and this was pre Macintosh. We're talking the 2E, the Apple 2E, and I went over there and took their courses. It was a pretty intense course on writing Apple DOS.
Ooh,
that's where I got to see it first.
Java.
Java, yep, JavaScript.
Yeah, I took a Java class and I still haven't figured out how the hell did I pass that. That was the hardest class, and the professor was trying to talk me into taking the next one. I said nope, too hard for me. I'm done with now. Who uses Java anymore? Nobody.
Yeah, no, they don't. How
about BASIC? Who remembers programming in BASIC?
Yep. I do. Yep. I programmed BASIC.
That was one of the first languages I learned in high school.
Yeah. Yeah, and I learned.
Who remembers Fortran?
Fortran and Cobalt.
Fortran and Cobalt. Yep. I learned how to program those too.
Yeah. I never got a chance to do that. Oh, and Ask Jeeves. Yes.
Ask Jeeves, yes. Yeah, yeah. Well, and AOL still exists. Yeah, and web crawler. Yeah. AOL still exists because I actually have an AOL email address. I think it's grumpyvlogger@aol.com is my, and I set that up last Christmas just for people to get in contact. Writing it on punch cards. Yes, I remember doing first program I ever wrote was done on a punch card. And it was
Mine was on a cassette tape.
Yeah. Well, this was back when I was in the service, when we were working on the
Howdy, Ray.
It was called the Armament Systems Control Unit, and it's called an ASCU, and it was in the A-7 aircraft, and that's what controlled their bomb their munition system. And anytime we had to do a test on it, we had to put on the test stand. We ran this big giant magnetic or big reel tape that had holes punched in it, and each one of them did it was a line of code. You'd run it through there, and then you had to sit there with this friggin' ass book and go from page to page and watch. And they had filament bulbs in there, the wire filaments, and they would make an A or a 1 or a 2, and there would be like 8 of them across, and then each step. So then you'd have to sit there and look at this, look at all the numbers, make sure this is okay, and then click next, and then flip the page. And of course, the book was friggin' 2 feet thick, to do it. And it was an all-day thing to test that. But if you got an error that you couldn't fix out on the flight line, you had to pull it. Well, if it was your sorry luck that you got stuck working on it, well, then you had to take it into the test stand room and put it on there and spend 8 hours going through that trying to figure it out. And then you had to bookmark where you're at so the next guy could come in and pick up where you left off. God, I hated that. And but that was the first computer system I worked on. Used wire filaments with, it's an analog system. It'd show either, A through Z or 1 through 0. 1 through I'd go 0 through 9, I should say. Yeah. And it lit these wires up, to form the number. It's like, wow, that was real old school.
Well, the company I used to work for many moons ago, they were selling their old mainframe that took the big, tapes, and it was the tapes that had the holes in them.
Yes.
Oh boy, I could have gotten it really cheap, but I thought, where the hell am I going to put this thing? It's huge.
Yeah.
It's about 5 feet tall, and it's about, maybe 2 feet wide. And I mean, shoot.
Was like if you ever get a chance and you can find a copy of it, where on the Last Starfighter they do for one of their anniversary editions, they show the computer that they used to build all the CGI graphics, which was they actually had to build the computer first in order to make the graphics. And this was pre-Star Wars, so this was actually most of the guys that worked on this, their next job was working on Star Wars, because it was Last Starfighter is a hokey movie, but it's one of my favorite from that time period, and it's one of the first real uses of CGI.
Yeah,
and
it was a stand-up comic that played one of the main characters in that movie, The Last Starfighter. And sadly, he died on stage during the performance.
Oh.
Who was that?
Oh, God. Anyway, he was saying, "Hey, this is my impersonation of dying," and he did. And they thought it was part of and his son went up there and they started doing mouth to mouth, and
I know Tiny Tim died right in the middle of his. He died on stage right in the middle of his act too. And he'd been told that his heart was bad, and he'd been told he shouldn't do anymore, and they conned him into convinced him to do one more show, and it was his last. Yeah, Last Starfighter was before Star Wars.
Robert Preston.
Oh, it was Robert Preston. Okay, all right, yeah.
He played Centauri.
Yeah, Centauri. You said stand-up comedy. I knew Robert Preston was in it. I just didn't think of him as stand-up comedy because
he was a comedian.
But he was a comedic actor because he was like the Music Man and stuff like that. So I think of him as an actor. I forgot about him doing his stand-up routines. So I think Last Starfighter was before Star Wars, wasn't it?
84.
Okay, then it was after Star Wars.
That was after Star Wars. Star Wars was 78.
That's right, because maybe that's where it came from. The guys that left Star Wars went over to Last Starfighter, and that might have been what.
That's right, Mark.
Yeah,
you're
right. When I said that, I thought. Anyways, if you get a chance to watch any of the 25th anniversary interviews, they talk a lot about that, and but I think because a lot of the guys had come from Star Wars, and they're the ones who helped build the computer and that thing. Good God, it was so big that they had benches where around it, the guys would actually sleep on the computer itself because they put benches they could sit around. And they'd sleep on it, but it was interesting watching how they made that. And of course, most of it was wireframe.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, when I was in the service, we tested a system like that used the wireframe. It would track the pilot in front of you, and it was all done in green wireframe. We went in after we put set the system up on the aircraft, and we got to go in and watch ground control monitor it and watch it, and you could see this wireframe image of the pilot looking over his shoulder. It was that detailed. This was 1976, so that was pretty innovative at the time. But no, you weren't losing it. I was. I do that sometimes. They actually, my daughter-in-law got me a copy of Last Starfighter on DVD because I wore out my VHS version I had. I watched it so much. Actually, I didn't wear it out. Judy and the kids hid it. They hid it from me. So I watched it. It was when I got it when I was in the wheelchair, and I'd sit there and didn't have nothing to do. So I'd sit there and I'd watch it on a continuous loop over and over and over. I watched at least twice a day, and they got so sick of that movie that they actually hid the VHS tape from me. And but my daughter-in-law got a copy of it. She ordered one copy, and something happened, and it didn't come in like so she reordered it, and they ended up sending her two to replace the one that she didn't get, and then the one she originally ordered came in. So she had 3 copies of it, so she gave one to James and one to Patrick, because they're 2 of the kids that had to put up with me watching that damn show. So that's our connection to The Last Starfighters. The kids' memory of it's like, oh God, I hated that show. You know? But, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't watched it maybe once since I got the DVD, or twice since I got the DVD. So, yeah.
Oh, speaking of being really annoyed by people playing stuff over and over, I was at a friend of my parents' house, and their kids got Quiet Riot, and they kept playing, "Come on, feel the noise." And I'm like, oh, come. It was fine the first 5 times, but my God, they kept playing that over and over. And then I learned to hate that song. And you know what? Turns out that was a cover song of a song from the 60s.
Yeah, Slide.
What was that? Was that Casey and the Sunshine Band?
No, it was Slide.
What was it?
Slide.
Yes.
Noddy Holder is the lead singer.
Mm-hmm. Come on, feel the noise.
Yeah, well, that was like me with We Will Rock You. You know, We Will Rock You, because every time, you know, our oldest son blew out more of our speakers, because as soon as Judy and I would go to the store, you know, we'd load up in our 73 Camaro, and we'd go down to the store, and we'd get, you know, out of the driveway and out on the street, and all of a sudden, bam, you know, there you'd hear the speakers blaring, we will rock you. Oh my God. Oh. Mind you, it was on a 45. It's actually on a 45 record, but oh my God, we heard that song. I actually like it now, only because I like it on what a lot of people have done with it on YouTube. You know, the different groups that have done the cover of it or used it in different things.
Right.
But God, I hated that song back in the 80s when our kids were young, and that's all James would ever play.
Oh, my favorite part was the Bryan May's guitar part. That's what made the song.
Yeah.
Because that guy, he had a sound that nobody else had. And
it was a custom-made guitar.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's why he's got that sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pickups were made a certain way where I think they were reverse polarity or something. And it gave it that unique sound. Yeah.
But you know, when you have to hear it, I mean, especially when it wasn't so bad, you know, during school years, during school time, that, you know.
That's right, Andrew.
Yeah. Dr. Bryan May. I think he's actually doing the Sky at Night now.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it?
From Sir Patrick Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Queen Elizabeth knighted him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's go ahead.
Who was the guy that the Queen knighted? And you know how they take the sword and they go on one shoulder, and she nicked his ear. Who was that? Where she just picked up
I remember,
and came down, and then just kind of, when she came down, she just hit
and there was something about I remember that story. Yeah.
And she's like, the look on her face is like, oops.
Yeah, and I remember there, I think it had something to do with she wasn't real fond of he'd done something that had annoyed her anyway, so It was like that was just a that was just a payback though. But yeah, I remember that happening, but I don't remember who it is that did that. And who was the last one? Who was the last one that she knighted? Do you remember? Anybody know who that was? Because I think Charles took over before, when she got too old for it. Before I think her last couple of years. But
yeah,
I don't think Queen Elizabeth liked swords. Probably didn't. When you look at those ceremonial swords that they used, those were like two-handed swords in it to begin with. Those were heavy swords, so it was probably pretty hard for her to lift one of those, because I think most of those were classified as two-handed swords. And Charles, you have a channel that you guys play games on, right?
Yes.
And you need to promote that, because I didn't realize. I've dropped in the other night, like, oh yeah, this is what Charles has been talking about, and it's
well, it's not my channel. It's not my channel.
But it is interesting to watch. Yeah. It's so make sure plug that channel.
Well, you can pick us up on Art of the Roll. It's Art of the Roll, and they have channels on YouTube, Twitch, Rumble, and I think Kick, but nobody ever shows up on Kick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
That's Art of the Roll, not Art of the Troll.
No, it's not Art of the Troll. It's Art of the Roll.
No.
Yeah, I just saw somebody somebody had just said that they were. I just got a YouTube thing here that somebody said they're no longer broadcasting on Kick. So I don't know who it was, but
who, Art of the Roll?
No, it's somebody else. I just got a YouTube notice that I'm no longer streaming on Kick. I didn't even know Kick was an option. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, me neither.
It's like the way Twitch was in the beginning.
For predominantly all gamers and all.
Well, predominantly just all kinds of people that it's a lot easier to make money, to become monetized on Kick than it is on Twitch. A lot less rules. Yeah, lots of gamers. Right. I actually watch it. Like the other thing on Twitch is you get a lot of extremely attractive females doing all kinds of stuff.
Low effort posts.
Yeah. Now I did see one on Kick. I did find one really attractive, but she wasn't doing like all kinds of crazy stuff. She wasn't showing a lot of cleavage. She was dressed very normally, just sitting there with a drink in her hands, just chatting with people. I was like, well, this is pretty charming, because there's no, there's no crap going on. There's no Sims in the there was,
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out now. You've got me thinking about it, but
there you go.
And by the way, guys, I'm sure everybody's starting to leave out. Yeah, it's dropped down to 8 now. So I'm going to end the show.
Some are going to bed too.
Some are going to bed because it's 2:00 in the morning where they're at. Yeah, so I'm going to call this a good
night,
show.
Dr.
Call
One.
it over with. And Dr. One, thank you. And you can imagine. Andrew said you can imagine me as a knight. Yeah, Sir Lloyd. Yeah. Unfortunately, any of my lineage, they lost everything because I always picked the wrong side of the wars to support. Like the Mendenhall clan lost all of their stuff, the Mildenhalls, because they were on the wrong side of the War of the Roses. Instead of the Yorks, they were the Lancasters, or vice versa. I have to stop and remember. But anyways, I'm going to call this a good show. Art, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Dominic, as always. And Charles, always enjoy having you on here. And remember, guys, check out Art of the Roll if you want to see some entertaining gaming.
Or Artco Drone Solutions Saturday nights at 4 p.m. Pacific, 5 Mountain, 6 Central, 7 Eastern.
And I give away candy. Gimps, and you give away candy.
That's Sunday night. Yeah. Same time.
Sunday night is 3 Conservative Gimps at 6 o'clock Central Time.
Central.
Yeah, 5 o'clock Mountain and 4 o'clock Pacific and 7 Eastern. Yeah,
that's correct.
So, anyways, guys, have a good night. Thanks for watching. Everybody, take care. I'm gonna go ahead and end this show now. Always, Charles. And let me see, end broadcast.